Well, I'm on my way back to Brunswick. I can tell you exactly. When you have medications like Tylenol and Advil, they say works for 12 hours. No, that's a lie. They do not work for 12 hours. They do work for 6 to 7. I can assure you of that. By the time the last two, I almost booked off after Gaslight Hall, and I could have had every reason to, but I was there, and I just felt that I would finish the night out, and that would be that. They said they changed this. It's so hot in Kentucky, they changed the post times to 5 o'clock, so there's no rush. There's no rush tomorrow. I'll be able to sleep in a little bit. There's not a whole lot going on at the barn tomorrow. Dr. Latessa and Jason have everything under control with respect to medicating the horses that were sick, tied up, high livers. They're on top of that, and it's a Monday. There's not a whole lot to do, so I'm going to take it easy tomorrow. Drive down to Kentucky, race Hanger 1, and Steady Volo tomorrow. And then somebody had asked me, he said, "Oh, you mentioned you were gonna go look at yearlings on Tuesday. Can you get some pictures of our yearlings?" Well, that wasn't necessarily what I was talking about, although I can skip out that way. I was going to drop by a farm and look at yearlings that are going to be in the Lexington sale, is what I was thinking of doing. It's not something I do every year because I'm busy, but I find myself in a unique situation where I'm racing Monday and Wednesday. Amy and the kids are in Ontario, and I had nothing to do on Tuesday. So rather than come back, I figured I would just stay down and do a little homework. So that is what I'm going to be doing on Tuesday sometime in Kentucky, in Lexington. So, having said that, I can easily drive out to Haley's and get some pictures. I'm eager to see. It's not lost on me that those horses are coming in 2 months. Right? It's almost August. 2 months. In 2 months, they'll be coming in. 7 or 8 weeks. So, yeah, I'm eager to stop out and see what they look like also. And if I do, most definitely, I'll get some pictures for everybody of our horses that are on their way in. Tomorrow morning at 8:30, obviously, we have 3 horses, 3 of our own homebreds left to sell shares in. Tomorrow will be Cover My Short, which is the Green Shoe Colt brother to Pretty Eyes and Lies. She hasn't got a chance to really strut her stuff yet. She's had 2 starts. I think she'll probably take a 2-year-old mark of 58 or so. But a likable horse nonetheless. So this is the bigger, stronger brother, I'm told, to Cover My Short and our 2 Pretty Eyes and Lies. His name, Cover My Short. And one of the more interesting points of that entire pedigree is the male side, right? The fillies are good. They're fine. We haven't had one that's perfectly fine yet. Not a killer. Pretty Eyes and Lies' mom is Isa 10. Isa 10 is a sister to Lawmaker, who was probably one of our true foundation horses here at the stable.ca. So Joey Pro is in that. That never used to be his name when we had him. He's in that family also. Just a really good family of horses, but predominantly stronger on the male side than the female side. So that is worth talking about also. So that's what's up for tomorrow. Now today, yes, I was sore. I went to Ollie's baseball game. It's funny how life is. So Ollie went like 0 for 3 and hit like 3 squibbers up the first baseline. 1 to third, 2 to first. Actually, it might have been third, second, first. Just light ground balls up the line. In the last one, he was like crying a little bit. He was tears in his eyes when he was coming off. And I walked over and I gave him a hug and I said, "Hey, listen, man, it's just baseball. Relax." I said, "You know how your batting is right now. That's how our barn has been for the last 10 days. So trust me when I tell you, I know how you feel." And all you have to do is get some tee work in, stick to your mechanics, get some tee work in, and maybe go to the batting cages this week, and things will come around. He's a good hitter, just not today. And I wasn't joking when I said I know the feeling. 100% I know the feeling. So I was a little bit stiff watching the ball game today, and and get in the car, came over here, and I'll tell you one thing. My back was sore, but I told you guys a couple of months ago I had thrown my back out one way or another, and they shocked my back, and it was pretty painful. I had it done tonight. It actually hurt more than hitting the track yesterday, but I will say this, I would do it over again 100 times in a row. Not the accident, that's shocking. I was like 90% all night. Now, the Tylenol and Advil started to wear off towards the end of the card, and the last 2 drives were actually a little uncomfortable, but at the same time, fine. I was fine with both of them. You guys know me well enough by now. If you've been around me long enough, if you remember back when, if you've been with us for 4, 5, 6 years, you remember when I broke my wrist and I was back early for that. I want to put out 110%. I ask that of everybody and every horse in our barn, and I don't want to be the guy that barks those orders out when I don't work hard. I might not be in cleaning stalls every day, but I put the best effort I can in at this barn all the time. And when it comes to tonight, it on display was things will turn around. If you continue to put winning horses in positions to win, you will win races. And that's exactly what took place tonight. Now, I'll tell you something. You might have saw the race from Foxy Seaside and said, well, she's a little flat. No, she was not. I can tell you exactly what happened. She was at her outside knee the entire way, and that's the only thing that zapped her power. She was very, very good tonight. I was not looking forward to driving Foxy Seaside. She can be rowdy. She can be mean. She can be a little ornery on the track and put you through the ringer as a driver. I was not looking forward to driving her, but I felt that to ask somebody to drive her without any sort of context and not knowing her was looking for trouble. And I would rather bite my lip for 2 minutes and drive Foxy Seaside than bite my lip the rest of the night watching it unfold in a very unfavorable way. She was extremely polite tonight. Got away 4th, sat there. I had to move her. The horse in front of me was not a great horse, and I thought the front end was a little vulnerable, 56-1. She raced great. She doesn't got a ton of eye of the tiger, and I think she was looking for a tussle with that horse on the front end. But when that horse put up some fight, she might have backed down a little bit, but that was only predicated on the fact that she was at her knee the entire way. Not pounding it, but just tick, 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 tick the whole way. So just something we have to work on. I don't think it's that difficult. She wasn't mauling it, so maybe just put a little shim on the inside and 2 corks on the outside of that left front. You don't have to get too cute with the shoeing. Just something remedial like that, I think, will take her off her knee. Or at least, let's say it takes her off her knee 40% of what it was tonight. I still think she's headed to the winner's circle. She was very good and very polite tonight, and I'll tell you what, I was extremely surprised. So great job by Foxy, Jason. Obviously, these guys have been taking their time with this filly and doing a great job with her. She has been a project and a problem at times for us. She was very, very good tonight. I think she's sitting on a very big win. I like what I saw from Foxy Seaside tonight. Now, even if you rewind a little bit more, you might say, oh, Gaslight won. Oh, thank God we won a race. It wasn't our first win of the day. Dune raced today. Now, I know that fair races don't show up in the calendar. We're trying to get that fixed. It must be a difficult thing to do because Curtis has not been able to get it done. See, when you go into the USTA, they're segregated, right? Parimutuel races, you have to click on the fair races and go into that separately. And maybe they can't draw from both streams. I have no idea. But the fair races aren't on here. Dune was a winner today, a $15,000 race in Ohio, or in Michigan. Now, to play devil's advocate, we didn't have to face our arch nemesis, the other filly. And Dune, somebody said she looked way better. Not really. Still a little soft going through the wire, wasn't she? Certainly looked that way to me. But she got the job done. She won. It's very, very important. So great job by Donnie and Dune, Riley. Krista, everybody that has anything to do with that filly. Great job from you guys today. She was a winner. So I got to the track. I had to watch her earlier on, even to that Woodmere Betcha raced. Fourth in a 4-horse field. She doesn't look very comfortable to me. Right line hard in the turns. Looking pretty fractious. So I don't know. I'll talk to Smitty tomorrow and see what he thinks about Woodmere Betcha overall. So I get to see Betcha race. I get to see Dune win. I get to drive Foxy, and I was so happy when I come off the track. At this point, I literally just had my back tended to. And thank goodness for that. I felt pretty good. I warmed up Gaslight Hall. He felt great. I didn't want to put him in a position where I was slugging it out with those types of horses, right? I did come here to win with Gaslight Hall, but at the same time, I didn't know, I didn't think, and I didn't really know if I could just zip him to the front and impose my will on that field. I didn't know. Gaslight Hall has been flat at times, right? That race at Georgian was so weird where he was no good 2 weeks ago. And then he came up with a decent mile 10 days ago. Looks like it's a little more than 2 weeks ago because 10 days ago is when he raced. Exactly. We didn't train him when he was over here. Not the soundest horse. We did not train him. So his last fast mile was that charted mile. So all these things are going through my head. And I'm like, well, it's not really a big deal. The 1, 3, and 9 are the horses to beat. I just have to get away close. I did. I got away fourth. Ended up in a perfect spot with Gaslight second over. The two horses are two of the main horses to beat. We're slugging it out on the front end. It became pretty clear down the backstretch that it would take a subpar effort not to win this race with Gaslight Hall. I wheeled him out around the last turn, called on him. I almost didn't pull the plugs. I thought he was just going to coast past them. And then he stalled just for a second. I kicked him out, gave him a swat. He took off and finished up the mile really well. Seemed sharp, finished up good, and after the race and the run out, he was fine. Really happy coming out of the winner's circle. Now, you may not care about that stuff, but his body language after every race is important, right? Well, all horses are, but most definitely his also. And I thought he raced well. Now, the only horse left to go that night, and that was before Gaslight actually, was Solidarity. And I didn't know what to think of the mile. I thought it was kind of a paint by numbers, get away 6th or 7th, finish up with the pack. Scotty sent me a message saying, he's okay, whatever. It was quite the opposite, actually. I thought that's what I saw from the mile. He tried to get him out in the flow. There wasn't a whole lot of flow. He finished up okay. He was okay. Scotty actually liked him. Now, I changed his bit all around. We put a crescendo bit on him, and actually, I was happy to see the way he behaved tonight because that's the bit we have on Hanger 1 tomorrow. Changed it around, too. Scott said, actually, he was good. If anything, left line a lot. He said, I didn't want to move him down the backstretch. He was just coasting out off the rail. I said, well, rather than screw around with everything, because I know he doesn't like a head pull on the outside. I had one on him called for schooling, and he was biting the left line the whole way. I said, why don't we just take the head pull off the inside then? He said, yeah, that's what I said to Eric after. And Eric thought his hobbles were a bit tight. I said, well, he said, I wouldn't screw around with the hobbles just yet. He said, but I would take the head pull off the inside. And Anthony, he was actually good. He said, every time I tapped him on the tail, he came forward. He said, so I know that you didn't know what to think going in, but I didn't have a problem with that horse at all. I actually didn't think he was that bad. Which was music to my ears because I really thought I would call Scotty and be like, he was really hot, really hard to deal with, and online, and just castrate him and turn him out. That's pretty much how I thought our conversation would go. But quite the opposite. So, a great night in the sense that we've had a bad 2 weeks. And we ended or started off, whatever you want to look at, our week with a win in Michigan with Doom, a win in Northfield with Gaslight Hall, a very good third with Foxy Seaside, kind of a ho-hum fourth with Woodmere Betcha, and then a Solidarity that Scotty actually liked. I think the entire day of Sunday is coming up aces. When I laid in bed this morning and my eyes opened, I thought I would be too sore to do anything today. Get in the tub, took some Tylenol and Advil, got attended to, and was able to not only watch Ollie play baseball, which didn't go the way that he wanted, but that's indicative of all sports, as we're all learning, right? Drove all the way here, didn't know how I'd feel. Could I get in the bike? I've driven with a sore back before, but not an injured back. Tweaking your back is not the same as bruising your tailbone and your back, as you can imagine. I didn't know if I'd be able to get in, sit in, and get out of the race bike in a way that I would at least feel that I was playing a role, a positive role. The last thing I wanted to do was to come over here and be a detriment to our burn. And as it turned out, Foxy Seaside was great. So happy with her tonight. And Gaslight Hall was awesome also. This is what I wanted to see. I'd like to see him win just like that again next week. That will set his confidence on fire, and we can send him back to Ontario, I guess, to finish off a season in the grassroots where where he can hopefully do some damage. So that is, I was going to say a huge success, but I think that's even an understatement considering what we've been going through the last 2 weeks. It was nice to see horses in our barn come to life, and although Gaslight Hall hasn't been here that long, Foxy Seaside has. And to see that side of the barn starting to come to life like she did tonight, as I said, we're just going to have to wait through it. Right? There's no rush. There's no get her to get the horses to the vet and get them fixed. I know there's been a lot of people saying, maybe stay in Ohio this week and put somebody else on the horses in Kentucky and see if you can get things squared away. I'm not the doctor, and I'm not the horse, and I can't square anything away. All we can do is figure out what went wrong and fix it. We did that all last week. We were putting out fires all week. And by the looks of the horses racing tonight, hopefully they've been extinguished and we can start rebuilding. So that's the plan for the rest of the week. I guess that will be the phrase of the week, rebuild, right? We spent 2 weeks getting the crap beat out of us on the track, and hopefully that comes to an end. And it certainly looks like we're at least in the right spot after watching our horses race tonight. So tomorrow we have probably not going to show it because I don't have my Wi-Fi on. Tomorrow we have the horses in Kentucky. We have the horses again on Wednesday, the 4 fillies in Kentucky. Jailbird Jog drew 8 in a 12-horse field. That's not cool. I don't even know what our odds are. Probably 5-6 to 1, something like that. But I know the other filly I think is picked to win or picked for second, Ian Zena Kemp. Jolene Hall. And the other filly I think is 7 to 2. She's picked down low also. Degas. So all our fillies are, I think between Monday and Wednesday, every single horse is picked lower odds. I think the longest shot we have on the morning line odds for the next 3 days, at least in Kentucky, is Jailbird Jog. I think that's a little silly, but we'll see. So, what do we got coming up this week? We have Kentucky, as I just talked about, and also the final of the New Jersey Sires, I believe, is Friday with our girl Perfect Thought. So that's very important also. They have switched, if you haven't found out by now, they've switched the post times in Kentucky from afternoon to 5 o'clock racing. So I have lots of time tomorrow just to relax and take things easy and see if I can rest up a little bit. I know there's been a lot of people sending me notes, various notes. Anthony, you got to take it easy. Anthony, you're going everywhere and you're going to get tired, or now you're hurt and you got to rest up. I get it. I appreciate the notes. I understand where you're coming from. But as I say to everybody, I will put out what I can put out plus more, right? This is our burn, and I expect a lot from myself. I was able to drive tonight, and that's why I was on the track. Yes, it was a little uncomfortable, and yes, it will likely be again tomorrow. But you know what? I'm not crying about it, and you shouldn't be too worried about me either. I'll be just fine. So, thank you again. Have a wonderful rest of your night's over now. Have a great Tuesday, or Monday, because that's what it is right now. It's 12:15 Monday morning. Have a wonderful Monday. I'll probably give you guys some sort of an update on my way down to Kentucky. It's a 5-hour drive. So, have a great day. I will talk to you soon, to all my partners with respect to Gaslight Hall and Foxy Seaside. Be happy. They both raced very good tonight. And although I expected Gaslight Hall to do good, and he did, I was thoroughly pleased. I cannot stress this enough. Thoroughly pleased with the way Foxy Seaside raced tonight. So I will talk to you soon. Take care. Have a great, as I said, have a great Monday.